Okay, if it's possible, if you guys want, you can turn your cameras on, or if not, it's okay as well. We can also communicate through chat. If you have any thoughts throughout the session, we will have like a section where we all can speak at the end. So we're trying to do that because, of course, this is a place where you guys want to share your voices. So welcome everyone to the meeting for girls in the corporate world. And of course, this is our AI bootcamp, and it's focusing on really reducing the gender gap when it comes to the business world and discussing that like the business is more than just technology. It's everything. It's AI, finance, sales, marketing, and everything in between. So we're here to expose you to these things, and most importantly, this is a platform where you can share your thoughts and, of course, amplify your voices, because in today's day and age, we need to have youth voices in the community so that we can bring change. I will be turning it over to Ella. You can do our quick intro and kind of talk about what we're going to be going through today.
Okay, so welcome to our AI Bootcamp. First, we're going to be going over just different uses for AI, and then some of the ethics involved with that, with training them, and also in the uses as well. And then some research that's going on right now with AI, and then an open discussion where we encourage everybody to participate and share their thoughts as well.
Okay, so now, Ceci, do you want to talk about the uses of AI?
Yep. So, hi everyone. I'm Ceci and I'm the technical manager. So, AI has many uses in many industries such as healthcare, education, business, and retail. And as you all know, in recent years, especially with like ChatGPT and all that, AI has been used more and more in our lives. So now we will look at each of the uses for AI in each of the four industries I just mentioned a little more in depth.
Okay, so AI in healthcare, obviously AI is being used a lot in healthcare when it comes to like chatting with patients. They visit the hospital website. There's so many patients that large hospitals, like obviously, Children's Medical, all of these large hospitals have a lot of customers they have to deal with. And so, it makes it a lot easier when a chatbot is there to ease the work of doctors, because obviously they have a lot going on with customers and records. And then, of course, records are a big part of the medical field. These are confidential documents and everything. And so AI is there to kind of maintain a lot of that. And then, of course, medical insurance, managing it, approving it, denying it, is AI helps with that. And then, of course, the whole point of what hospitals are there for, identifying diseases and cancers, AI is being used more and more in that aspect. When it comes to insurance, AI has not been too biased, but when it comes to training with wrong data, AI can be quite inaccurate. And it's of course a double-edged sword. It can help save time, gives them more face-to-face time with patients for doctors, but at the same time, one question to think about throughout today's sessions, we're going to be asking you questions is, can AI be trusted with like little procedures like human surgeries, right? Those are some important things to think about. Can AI perform those things that doctors have spent years in medical school for, right? Can we just trust an AI bot to do that for us? Some like real world example is Johnson and Johnson. Obviously, COVID-19 came, and so with their vaccinations, they were quite popular. And so AI and machine learning has helped them analyze a lot of data, so X-rays and MRIs and CT scans, and this has really, in their opinion, improved their efficiency. So one thing to think about is, of course, AI has its positives and its negatives, but it's definitely shown its mark in the healthcare field. Okay, and then we have this short clip right here. It's really short. It's quite interesting. So Ella will play it for us.
Just give me 1 second to transfer over the screen share to a different, to this new tab.
Yes, and while Ella is doing that, just some quick introductions. I'm Pratika Karkwal, president of Girls in the Corporate World. Ella is here today. She's also one of our technical managers. And so we're just going to be help running it. And of course, one of the requests I had gotten was you guys wanted to have an open floor discussion and based on the Google form responses. So we will be having that. Make sure you're writing your thoughts. And if you have any questions or anything, we're going to be keep it making the floor open for you all. So that is just something to keep in mind. Ella, is the screen share and sound and everything working? We can, or else move on to the next slide. Okay, great.
Should be able to see that.
Okay. So this is actually really real stuff on the news. There's a lot of these going on, these robots in hospitals. So this really connects to the healthcare field. Of course, this has brought up some positives and negatives. Some people feel like it is, encroachment on their privacy, but others feel, of course, it's improved doctors' tasks because now this AI bots can control and do a lot of those tasks which doctors don't need to spend their time on. Now doctors can focus more time on connecting with their patients.
Okay, now moving on to our next slide.
Yes. Okay, next, AI in education. Ella, would you like to cover that?
Yeah, AI is also used a lot. It's very popular right now, I guess, of a topic to discuss how AI can be used in education. It can be used to help students learning like specific topics and being able to solve problems from like putting photos of whatever problem it is or phrases that would help an AI be able to understand a problem and then like walk through it step by step with someone. Specifically in math, I think this is used a lot. Also for writing essays specifically, like essay help to be able to give suggestions, tips, and also just like help on more technical aspects of it as well, like citations. And also it can help on the other side as well by assisting teachers and not just like replacing them, by letting them be more able to create lesson plans easier. And then also students being able to learn through learning the AI learning what types of things that they're struggling with, which a major example of that is Khan Academy, which obviously takes those questions that you've gotten wrong and shows you more of that to expose you to it. AI is a good resource, but it's not always accurate, and a lot of times also in a deceptive way. It'll present you information that looks to be accurate or does not make you question it, especially with ChatGPT. So it's dangerous in those kind of things, but a lot of educational tools are very reliable in that sense. And something to think about, especially for our discussion later, is should we be using AI in these educational settings? Like, where should the limit be on whether it's useful or potentially hurtful? You can see the real world example on this side there. Yeah, that seems to cover it.
Yeah, so just AI in education is really just double-sided. A lot of people think it's helpful in things like creating citations and all that, but it's really double-sided when it comes to can it really be used in other things. So should it be utilized or not? And that's something we're going to get to later on in today's session. So Ella, maybe the next slide we can talk about now AI in business. So Kim, our social media manager, will now be covering that.
Okay, so AI business is really important because AI is very useful in like different aspects. So for business, it has helped a lot of graphic design, especially if you use Canva and stuff. Canva has really upgraded and you can now use like certain icons and stuff, and it can generate like little templates, especially if like you don't know where you want to start, especially on Canva. and also it can track customer habits. AI has done an amazing job in understanding like trends and understanding what's happening in the world and what people seem to like. Especially like in TikTok, many people use TikTok for a source of income, and AI has really helped find like a target audience, especially like if you create an account. And in return, this saves small business owners and like big corporations, as they don't need to spend much time on like, marketing managers, as AI can do like the little tasks and little jobs of finding how they should appeal to their audience and also what products to market. So something to think about is, do you think AI could replace human jobs, maybe even marketing jobs like graphical designers or in general art? Because some people use art as like a job and a source of income. So do you think AI might replace them? That's just something to think about.
Okay. And then AI in retail. Sophie, would you like to cover that?
So AI has a ton of uses in retail, especially recently. Like you can see it in Walmart now, such as to chat with customers online and provide customer support. Obviously, this has been around for a long time. Help people self-checkout again with like Walmart and even CVS. Manage and keep track of inventory, like what's there, what's not there, what needs to be restocked. Help come up with marketing strategies for businesses, as mentioned earlier. So it can kind of track what customers are liking and what they're not, so that companies know what to promote and how to promote it. And it can make recommendations for customers on what to buy. So like when you scroll down on Amazon, it shows you stuff you might want to purchase, and that's based on things that you're looking at and that you're buying. So AI has helped make this shopping experience more streamlined, but it may occasionally still be wrong. Like sometimes in Walmart, like when I go and I'm trying to check something out, it'll say like I missed the scan, even though it's just 3 items and I scanned one thing 3 times. So yeah, the real world examples like I talked about, Walmart has been using AI since 2020 to chat with customers, self-checkout. It can detect if people forget to scan something and help track inventory flow across regions. So Walmart knows what to put where. So something to think about is, will AI take over human jobs? And if you don't think it will, do you think it could take over something else, or maybe people would have to do less work? Think about things like self-checkout at Walmart. Like you don't see as many cashiers anymore.
Yes, and AI in tech. Now Kim, I know wants to cover that, so handing it over to Kim to cover AI in tech.
So I know that many of you guys join Girls Who Code to be maybe a software engineer, or you have some coding experience, or you just want to get into technology in general, whether that be data analyst or being a coder. And AI has shown to really understand, the complex functions of coding, and has the ability to do simple tasks like software engineers. Now, many people think that AI will replace senior software engineers, and that has not been the case. By the time that happens, many people think that most jobs will be replaced, but AI has shown a great ability to make skeleton code or just starter code, especially if you need help on your labs, if you're enrolled in a computer science class. And I did this on, for my example, when I had a hard time with code, I did use ChatGPT just to kind of guide me to where, I should do next. So I do think it's a great way to kind of get into coding. You could also use AI to learn. However, do you think AI will replace future coders? And it may be hard to get those entry-level jobs. So that's why I really encourage you guys to really be involved in your communities and build those networking skills and have those passion projects. So even AI can't even replace you.
Yes, and then for ethics of using AI, Ella, would you like to cover that?
Yeah, there's a lot of ethics to consider whenever you're using these AI, because it's not just something that like out of thin air is able to tell you answers or make these decisions, I guess. First, you have like biases. Obviously, you have to use data to train these AIs, like large amounts of data, and our human biases show through in that data, even if like you try and account for that, you try and think about that, or you don't think that you're being biased. A lot of times that actually like shows through and can really impact different AI systems, and it's very important in a lot of scenarios, especially when like the insurance example, it can deny insurance to people who need it or deserved it if it's trained on data that shows bias or is even just wrong. And also, whenever you use AI for doing homework or writing essays, it can be seen as unethical by teachers who want students to be able to learn those skills on their own and not necessarily just rely on AI. Another thing to think about here is like, where does it get this data? Like, how does it know what to write or what to draw when you think of those image generators? Like, it's being trained on things that people have written, like original works, and there's just a lot of uncertainty there with did they approve of their creative works being used in that way to just train these AI models to then potentially turn around and steal that creative process from people who have dedicated their lives to that. But also, you could also think of this as a huge step forward. If we can reduce those biases and make it more ethical, it could also just be a tool to make lots of different fields more accessible to people.
Okay. So next, one of the reasons, of course, that really girls in the corporate world is theirs to, to help you all find your passion in some way. And so a lot of that, can be AI, finance, and really many things in the corporate world. So one of our members and club officer, Kim, really, last year we had this competition called the UN Sustainable Development Goal Competition. And so it's where you had to create like a wireframe app. We'll have it again this year, and something positive, social impact related. And so this got Kim inspired to do something that's going to benefit community. So she is kind of had her own passion project where she's doing an experiment on whether AI is like biased or not, and whether when asked controversial questions, what sort of responses is it giving back. And so we give Kim's example because I think it's important for you all to also look for some way to do your passion projects. And so I want to turn it over to Kim, where she can kind of showcase her work. She's been doing this over the past few months, and I'm glad that it was inspirational and for her to do this. And so Kim, take it away and tell us about your work.
So I started to dive into AI bias because a lot of people are just using AI in general. Therefore, I'm going to talk about how my experiment worked out. So the first experiment that I did was for AI bias concerning chat Bard. And if we could go to the first image, it was about anti-immigrant versus pro-immigrant sentiment. And essentially, I asked chat Bard whether... Here, I can share my screen. Oh, okay. Do you want me to share the slide or the sheet?
Yeah, there. I think that one's good.
All right. So here's the first one, which is chat Bard, and I essentially asked them to write a little poem about whether pro-immigrant or anti-immigrant policy is the best. And unfortunately, it did not want to write the one about anti-immigrant sentiments, but it was willing to write about the pro-immigrant sentiment. And the second one is also from Big Chat, and they had the same response where they would reply to the pro-immigrant sentiment, but they didn't want to talk about how anti-immigrant policy could be worse or, it could affect other people. Therefore, they're most likely liberal leaning. Therefore, if you're using these chat bots, this could lead to misinformation, and also this could sway your political opinion. Therefore, you should always check the bots you're using so you can obviously be safe in the future. And this is actually very unique. ChatGPT wrote a poem for both sides to show that ChatGPT is a neutral bot to use. However, it can be, predisposed to other bias. So I really encourage you, if you're using ChatGPT or any other bots, to really make sure that you're looking into the people writing behind the bots. Many people or developers can be conservative, and obviously that's going to translate into their products.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. So definitely, this was just one example of a passion project. And Kim, of course, did this research. She's been doing it for months, and she had multiple questions that she asked chatbots and to figure out, are chatbots really as neutral as they claim to be, or do they have some bias that is coded into them? And so Kim was passionate really about like AI and then positive impact, and then questions when it came to AI bots. And so she kind of combined these passions and had this and come out in this form of a project. project. So we encourage you guys to also do this. And of course, this is as we have our UN Sustainable Development Goal competition. That is going to be another way for you to explore your passion projects, or explore like a way where you can conduct some sort of a project that Kim did. This is just an example, and of course these events and competitions hopefully continue to inspire you all to do your own independent research. Okay, now just a few things about AI. We've been talking about really the pros, we've been talking about cons. Of course, pros, I think the biggest good thing about AI is that it really bridges gaps in society. It's an open platform, anybody can access it regardless of what economic background. AI is free, and most AI features, bot, everything, you just need a login. And so this really reduces those socioeconomic all these barriers that occur in society. Of course, minor tasks can be done. So for example, like just take for example when Google Docs has their feature where it spell checks for you, right? That makes it a lot easier when it spell checks it for you, so you can focus on actually creating good content on your Google Doc, right? And then same for a lot of organizations like Google. They think that it has helped them in many ways, because now as an organization you're able to focus your attention on all of those tasks that increase your presence in the community. So of course, cons are like privacy concerns. The CNN example I want to talk about is recently it was on the news that a AI bot actually robbed a person because they encouraged that person to invest in cryptocurrency when it was actually just some fraudulent system, and so that AI bot took all of their money. And so have been happening more recently. Of course, privacy risks, of course, the biggest risk about taking over human jobs. And can we really trust AI with specialized jobs? Like I talked about in the healthcare field, can we trust AI bots to do those surgeries, right? Doctors have trained years to make their hands ready to do such methodical tasks. Can AI really do it with just a code that's put into it? So those are some things to keep in mind. And then Ella, next slide. So this is the open floor for discussion on AI ethics. So really, this is a place for you guys to share your thoughts to these questions. You can talk about how AI is, your opinion on it, or if you think it's a double-edged sword, it has both aspects to it. If you're more comfortable sharing in chat, that is also okay, but just make sure that whatever you're doing, you can share your thoughts. And if you have any questions or ideas about passion projects as well, you can always ask about that. And so in the next slide, there's a very interesting activity that we're going to do, and it's done by Princeton University. They have these things called fictional case studies, and this is to get people and younger generations, and of course people like you who are empowered to take charge of what it is you want to be when you grow up, and just kind of look into the AI field. They post these fictional case studies so you can really look at these discussion points. So Ella, can you click on that link? And of course, we're going to be sharing these slides, and I encourage you to read it in detail. But for now, Ella, I want you to scroll down to the discussion point 2. I will be summing it up for you, and we're going to just basically have a discussion. So go up to page 3. Yes. So this is essentially a hypothetical statement, and it is a business that is or AI, or like not exactly a chatbot, but an AI feature that is going to help the human resources department of some hypothetical company. And of course, the purpose of this is it's going to make it easier for the organization to or for the business to hire people, because they're gonna have these algorithms and keywords in place, so that if some person doesn't meet their criteria, that will go they will not, they're not in the hiring pool anymore. So the biggest thing that I want you guys to think about is, do you think that what do you think about this? Do you think that this is a good thing? Do you think that it could affect things like diversity and inclusion? And what risks do you think that there are, right? Like there's an AI bot that is doing some parts of the hiring process for you. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think it poses potential risks? So of course, members, please feel free to unmute and share your thoughts. And then you can also put your thoughts in chat if that is your choice.
if you want, you can like send a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Like, are you guys for AI kind of going in and getting rid of all like doing like the little work of just if they don't even fit the criteria they reject? You can put like a little emoji.
Yeah. Or Kim, if you have your thoughts you want to share, you can also share those. Kim,
I'm gonna go. It's not. I don't really think I'm for it. I think one of the biggest things for a lot of people, especially like people who maybe have left the job market because they want to like start their own business and things like that. If obviously they don't have a lot of work experience, so AI just kicking them out the hiring pool altogether. You might meet a lot of like influential and really great people to work with, and sometimes like resumes it can only really tell you so much about the person until you meet them and you actually interview with them. I think that's when you can really understand if they're a fit for the job. So I think AI just automatically just numbering them out. I just don't think that's okay. There's so many great like candidates for people and like, you never really know until you interview them.
Yeah, that's true. Ella, can you go to the slides back real quick? We had some questions that we'll like to wrap up with most likely because I did want to share some updates for our February event, which is going to be our big event with our guest speaker. Okay, so just if you have any thoughts about AI, and of course Ella and Kim, you guys are members of the club, so feel free to share your thoughts when it comes to your perception of AI, and what do you think is lacking in AI? Any thoughts about it before we kind of wrap up today's meeting? Ella,
I think AI should be used in all aspects, but obviously very like monitored, especially since it's very prone to bias and things like that. We should definitely be looking into it, but I definitely see it being in all aspects of life because humans, I think, as we advance, those menial tasks become very like tedious and frustrating to do. So,
yeah. What about you, Ella? What do you think?
I don't want to take away from any members, so feel free to interrupt, but I think that especially thinking of like wanting to go into programming, it scares me a little bit because just that it's very easy for it to be looking for patterns in the data that it's looked at and then come to a wrong conclusion based on that, or especially like bias when you think about that hiring example before, like something to think about. What if even just by the way the resume was written, it used the tone of the words to then like think of it presenting more like feminine like type of like verbiage and then use that to discriminate and show bias, like not necessarily even just like looking at the name and thinking, oh, this is a woman, like we shouldn't, but just that past hiring data can definitely lean towards more unconscious bias that hiring managers may have.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that that's why those Princeton fictional case studies, I'm going to share that with our members later on. They're very useful because they give you a lot of real world context and, they help you understand that a lot of these things are what AI will be used for in the future or are already starting to be used for. And so I think those are things to keep in mind. Ella, you can go to the next slide. Yes, so this is something that we're gonna do in our Instagram page, but I think we can skip this for now because we already have our members and their information. So yes, our next meeting is gonna be February 24th, 11 a.m. CST. Now this is gonna be our big meeting in events of the month, and so these were our boot camps, but this is an actual session with our guest speaker. She is a student at UPenn Wharton School of Business. She has her experience with youth entrepreneurship. She has a lot of insight to give. We've already started planning for that event, and so we're really excited about that. And so yes, we'll be sending out the RSVP forms and everything in the next few weeks, and so be on the lookout for that. And thank you so much for joining today's meeting, Ella. Just some few reminders to follow us on GICW LTHS for all updates for our Instagram, and then this is our remind, which I'm assuming most of you are on, but if you need that is